Okay, welcome to Filing Doc. So today question is really simple. What are the information and document? Okay, do you need to file a green card for a family member? Okay, so information that you need. Okay, let's go about it. So let's say mm, if you are a permanent resident, information for the petitioner, they will need the alien number. But you a citizen, you don't have alien number. Okay. They need on the form that the information you will need to provide on the form I-130. Social security, uh, social security number. Okay, your social security number, your address in USA, then place of marriage if you get if you're married. Okay, city. I'm talking about permanent resident. They need also city and place of admission. What it mean? This is the place, the first time you come in USA, the way you get your admission, which mean if you get your admission in example in New York International Airport or Tampa International Airports, okay? So that means the first place when you come in USA. But I understand sometimes people get admitted also while in USA. So so you will provide the place also if your admission has been in USA. So they are ta- talking about the city and place of admissions. Okay, your work history. So those information is about the petitioner. That's mean the person in USA. That's mean lawful permanent resident or US citizen that is making the request. Okay, now you will need to provide information about the person that you're applying for. So beneficiary generally it's overseas, okay, address, but sometimes the beneficiary can be in USA too. Okay, let's say if the person currently is in USA with you, you will provide the address, beneficiary marital status. So the person you're applying for, if it's married or you might be applying for your son or so if you're applying for your spouse, generally the spouse is married or married to you. They need a work history of your spouse to of the beneficiary. So those are information that you will need to input on the form. Let me show you I-130. You will need to enter those information. That means you will need to enter those information in this form. Okay. So example here. This is the first information about you. You are the US a so so those information gonna about you, alien number, social security number. So this is information about the US citizen or the permanent resident. Okay, so those information you will need to provide them. Those information is about you, your address, stuff like that. Okay, place of admission is depend of the case, US citizen if you are. Okay, your employment history, stuff like that. Beneficiary, and when they're talking about beneficiary information, it's the family member that you want to apply for. Okay, now a beside the information that you will need to provide, you need to submit some specific document also. Document. So let's talk about the document that you will need to submit. Okay, so there is one more thing I need to point out also. There is an additional form right now, the I-130A. So you submit this form only if you're applying for your wife or your husband. Okay, I-130A. Let me show you this form. The I-130A, I repeat, is only when you're applying for your wife and your husband. This is an additional form that you will need to submit. Basically, this is information about, you see, information about the spouse beneficiary, not about the US citizen or the permanent resident. This is about the spouse. Okay, just in the past we used to submit the form G 325. Right now it's only one I-130. Okay, so this is only for when you're applying for your spouse, but if you're filing for kids, or brother and sister, you don't need to file this form. Okay, now let's go back. we want to know, we want to talk about, document that you will need to submit. What kind of document that you will need to submit? Let's see. So first of all, you will need to submit document that explain exactly if you have the right to file a petition. So two kind of people have this right. Either you are a US citizen or you are a lawful permanent resident. Okay, if you are a US citizen, you need to show that. How to show that? Easy. You can submit your birth certificate, you know a copy of birth certificate issued by a civil registrar. Okay, vital statistic, understand that. uh your naturalization certificate also, you can give a copy of your naturalization certificate. Okay, copy of your passport, it should be not expired, by the way. You can submit a copy of your passport, they say unexpired. Okay, and then copy of the form F220, consular report of birth abroad. You can, so this is for citizenship, you will need. But if you are a lawful permanent resident, you need to submit a copy of your permanent resident card. A copy, you will copy of front and back. Okay, and then we know sometimes you are a permanent resident and you still don't have the card yet, you didn't receive it yet. If you don't have your card yet, you can receive a copy of your passport biometric page. You know, on your passport there is a page that show admission as a lawful permanent resident. So you can submit this. Okay, so to tell you, so which mean as a lawful permanent resident, some people think they need to wait for a couple of years to file a family. No, as long as you got your passport with the stamp that's explicitly showing your admission as a lawful permanent resident, you can file an application for your husband or wife, or for your unmarried kids. Okay. Now, this is document about you, the petitioner, that prove your status. Okay, either lawful permanent resident or your citizen. Now, what document do you need to prove your relationship? So, if you're filing for your spouse, for your wife or husband, you need copy of your marriage certificate. Translate it, please. Translate it in English, okay? If either you or your spouse were previously married, you need to submit document that showing that each prior marriage was legally terminated. So what they're talking about, your divorce certificate. If you married previously, submit divorce certificate. Or if you need to submit also, they're talking about spouse, please. For spouse, you need the two identical color passport photo for yourself, the petitioner, and your spouse. You need this photo if your spouse is in United States. Please, you don't need photo if your spouse is overseas. Okay, you don't need to submit two identical photo if your spouse is living outside of United States. Okay, so we're still in spouse document for when filing for your spouse. Okay, so those are detail about passport photo. Any photographer know how to do them. Okay, now let's keep on for your spouse. We still document for your spouse. So they will encourage you to submit one of the following. You don't need to submit all those stuff, okay? But if you have them, you can submit it. That will give more proof on your relationship. I understand sometimes you don't have it. So example, document showing joint ownership, joint ownership of property. So if you have lease that have your name and the name of your spouse, if you have a joint bank account, okay, so submit them. If you have kids also, the birth certificate of children born to you and your spouse. Okay, that's a good proof also. They say you can even submit a statement from third party, that will state, okay, I know those two people, they've been married at specific date, and statement from those witness, they will write their name, address, birth certificate. Well, you may not need this, but if you want, you can. But that is statement. So they say any other relevant document, okay, any other thing that can prove understand the goal here. The goal is to prove the officer that your marriage is it's a real marriage, that's not fake. Okay, so example, picture of your marriage, you can submit that. So that's the point. So there is no limit on what document. Any document that can prove, that your ongoing marital union is welcome. Okay, but you don't need to submit all of this. Okay, they say, but at least you can submit one of it. So let's go for a child. It's easy if you're applying for your child. What you only need birth certificate for the child. Show your name, exactly, showing your name and the name of your child. It's easy. Okay, if you're applying for your child and so let's say if you are a child, uh, 21 years old, you need to be 21 years old and you're applying for your father. Okay, so child applying for your father, but I need to remind a child 21 years old applying for your wife, you need to be a US citizen. To do that, you will submit copy of your birth certificate showing both parent name. Okay, your marriage certificate to the child mother, proof of legal termination of the parent prior marriage, if any. Okay, so child born out of wedlock, submit evidence that you or the mother were married while the child was under 18 years old. Submit evidence that the child was legitimate under the law of the child residence domicile. And then you must file with a copy of it that bona parent relationship. So understand, what they're trying to explain here is the case when, let's say, they need to see ongoing relationship with the father. So let's say if you didn't know this kid, sometime a statement from the school that show your name, that you keep paying for your kids, statement from other people, so just want to make sure that there is ongoing relationship. This is the case for child out of wedlock and you are the father, so they need ongoing relationship, that you had with this child. Okay, so this may include evidence that you live with the child, support him. Okay, show evidence that you support the child. Okay, now brother and sisters is easy. You just need a birth certificate of your brother and sister, as well as your birth certificate. On the birth certificate, what they are looking for, they are looking for the if you have the same mother or the same father. That's why they need those two documents. So that's the official document that can prove that you are brother. Birth certificate that show you got same brother, same father, or same mother. Okay. Okay, no, a mother's you. So let's say a mother, let's say a submit a copy of birth certificate showing your name and your mother's name. So let's say if you are applying for your mother, so this is for US citizen. On by the way, only US citizen can apply for their mother, brother and sister. Lawful permanent resident, you cannot apply for your brother, you cannot apply for your father or for your mother. Okay, so father, submit copy of your birth certificate showing the name of both parent. Okay, that's the way it is. Okay, so this is for stepchild. If your petition, you understand stepchild, step parent. So what can prove that a child is your stepchild? First of all, marriage certificate to one of his parent. Okay, so the marriage certificate as well as the birth certificate of the child. That's the document. But understand, there is a rule for to be a stepchild. So they say with a copy of the marriage certificate of the step parent of the child, showing that the marriage occurred before the child turned 18 years old, which means if you get married and the child already get 18 years old, you will not consider this as a stepchild. Okay, so that's basically I wanted to show you, different kind of document to submit, when filing a green card, what we call a permanent resident for your family member. Okay, but remember, you need to translate any civil document that is in a foreign language and get it notarized. Okay, I hope this was helpful. And then on my next video, I will give you an update step by step, how to file the form I-130, okay? So then after filing, what to expect, okay? So see you for my next video. Bye. And remember, subscribe if you want to get informed, if you want really to save some bucks when filing different form. See you man on my next video.